My topic was sex education in elementary school, specifically in kindergarten. A fact about this is that some schools in America and a lot of schools in other countries actually are starting sex education in elementary schools. And this has been beneficial for the children. It's kind of scary, the thought at first, but when I was doing my research, I found that the topics that are most often covered in sex education in elementary school aren't so scary and are actually really important for students to know. These topics tend to be my body, good touch, bad touch, living things reproduce, the family, feelings, and bullying. And so all these topics are really important for students to start talking about and start understanding at a younger age so that they can grow up to be productive adults.
Before Kelsey's talk about sex education in elementary school, I didn't think any sort of sex education should be talked about in schools because I didn't think the kids would be ready. But after a discussion, I realized that there is parts of sex education that should be talked about. There's no means no, and it's not right for adults to touch kids, and kids should know the difference between right and wrong touch, and just to be aware of their bodies. And it doesn't necessarily have to be pertaining towards sex itself, but know the greater knowledge of what's right and wrong.
Our discussion on vaccinations, we discussed whether or not it was appropriate for parents to vaccinate or not vaccinate their children. Parents who choose to vaccinate their children usually do so in the interest of public health. Parents that choose not to vaccinate their children are more concerned about their rights as a parent and the philosophical rights of their children. After that, we went into an open forum and discussed what our opinions were on the matter and why.
Before the discussion on vaccinations, I wasn't really sure why parents didn't vaccinate, but after I had a more clear perspective of both sides.
Some of the benefits of yoga for kindergarten-aged children is it stabilizes their mind and energy, brings them back to center within their classroom, and reduces chaotic attitudes and scenarios.
Before Lucy's presentation about yoga in the classroom, I loved the idea of doing yoga with children. I just wasn't really sure how the children would behave or what the benefits would be for them. After our discussion as a group, I found that yoga in the classroom can be very beneficial for children because it's a stress reliever. It helps children to regulate their emotions and helps them to move around, become in touch with their body, and have better concentration skills.
These kids are constantly being thrown into iPads and iPhones and watching TV shows at lunch, breakfast, dinner, when they're missing out on all the interactions that they could be watching with their parents and peers and even just other people around them. I was pleased when I started doing my research to find out that AAP suggests that children 0 to 2 should have 0 screen time, which I'm not seeing in my restaurants when families bring their children in. I learned that children are a lot more aware than we might know. Even kids ages 1 to 2, when they're getting pushed around in a stroller, if a dog comes up to their mother or father that's pushing them, and the reaction to that, the reaction of the mother or the father is going to be similar to that of the baby's. The baby's going to look at the facial reactions and see, oh, my mom or dad is scared, or they're happy and they embrace the dog, which means the dog's not scary. So we just need to be more aware of how much technology we're making available to kids, and we need to start teaching them self-regulation.
After Ryan's presentation on technology in children's lives, I realized that it's our job to provide positive examples and ways of living our life without technology so that they adopt the same habits.
My discussion topic was gender roles in education, and through my findings I found that subconscious and conscious use of gendered language promotes a fixed mindset.
For Lauren's presentation on gender roles in education, I was aware of the fact that there were certain tasks that were meant for boys and certain tasks that were meant for girls, and that the segregation started early in education. However, after the presentation, I learned that I was an enabler of this process, and I exercise these stereotypes more than I thought I did. I also realized that it's more socially acceptable for girls to participate in boyish activities than it is for boys to participate in girlish activities.